Hello and welcome along to the first episode of the Social Anxiety Project. I'm Steve.
And I'm Lorna. And this is where two very socially anxious people come together on camera to talk about social anxiety.
Hey. So this is episode one, and unfortunately because of the coronavirus isolation, we've got to do it over Zoom chat. So here goes. We hope you enjoy.
So the Social Anxiety Project is going to be a series of YouTube videos just talking about our own experiences and how social anxiety has affected us, and also just things that we've used to sort of cope along the way and things that have really helped us on our journey. We're also going to have an Instagram page as well, and that'll be a mix of the videos that we're putting up and also just information and bring some humour to that as well along the way. So yeah, it's just really a platform to raise awareness about social anxiety and just help people to understand that they're not suffering alone and there's other people out there as well.
It's important for us to point out at this point that we are not professionals. This platform is here to help people and shine a light on what social anxiety is using our own personal experiences from years gone by. And we just want to make it clear we are here for anybody to reach out and talk to, and we can give tips on what we've done to help. But if you do feel that you relate to what we talk about like very much, then please go and seek professional help from go to doctors or professional therapists. But this community, we do hope to help people as much as we possibly can, but that has a very limited ability. You can look online and there's a lot of information that contradicts other information. So we will be focusing more on what we have experienced ourselves in the past and what we are going through now. So it's coming from personal experience.
So we are two individuals who have suffered really badly with social anxiety for most of our lives. And over recent years, we've been on a bit of a journey of trying to face that head on and try and overcome our fears and step out of our comfort zone. So with the Social Anxiety Project, we're hoping to step out of our comfort zones even more and put ourselves on screen where we can be even more seen and hopefully help other people along the way.
Me and Lorna realised we were on similar journeys after reconnecting. God, after years where we did actually go to school together, but we weren't in the same friendship groups. And then years later, we reconnected through social media, seeing that we were both on similar journeys. And then after talking to each other quite a bit, realising we had a lot of similar things in common, and realised we were both sufferers of social anxiety. So realising we were on this journey together individually, we've set up the Good Vibe Tribe, which we run with a group of friends, and also now we have set up the Social Anxiety Project to push ourselves, push our own comfort zones, but as well as that, trying to reach out to other people to shine the light on what social anxiety actually is. In upcoming videos, we are going to be talking about what social anxiety is more in depth. We're going to be talking about the physical and mental effects of social anxiety, as well as the other problems it can cause, like depression, addiction problems. But for now, this is just an introduction into who we are, where we came from, and where we plan on going. We believe that there's a lot of people suffering from it that don't actually realize they are suffering from it. So through speaking about our own personal journeys, we hope that people will be able to relate to it and use it as an example to start their own journey, because we have both individually been hiding away from the world in years gone by, and we don't want to do that anymore, and we don't want anybody to be in that position where they feel like they have to hide away from the world. And hopefully with this social anxiety project, what we want to do is build a community where people can kind of feel safe to reach out and talk to us or talk to other members of that community, and just a bit of a safe place, because we know ourselves how difficult it is to talk to people about this invisible illness, and even harder to get them people to understand if they haven't experienced it themselves. So this way, people can talk to people who have genuinely experienced what they're going through, and hopefully won't feel alone.
So what is social anxiety? I know I've looked at a couple of definitions online just to get the perspective of professionals, and one of the definitions I saw was that social anxiety is just a nervousness in social situations.
No, no.
And for me, that didn't really touch upon, what it really is, and the detail of what social anxiety really is. Another one said an intense, persistent fear of being watched and being judged by others. I felt like I could relate to that one much more, because for me, social anxiety affects every single interaction that I have with another person. And that can even be with friends. It's almost just a constant thing that you've constantly got thoughts in your mind, wondering what other people think about you, wondering about how you come across in situations, wondering if you've said the right thing, worrying that you're going to embarrass yourself or say something stupid. And these thoughts are just so persistent and intrusive, and they just don't go away. And it can also affect you before you go into situations and after, because before you go into a situation, you're having all of these thoughts and you're wondering and worrying about how the situation's going to go. And then equally, when you come out of the situation, you're ruminating and reflecting back on how the situation went and how you came across, and did you look stupid? Did you embarrass yourself? Wonder what people thought about you. And it can be really, really exhausting. It's like your mind never switches off. Your mind can never just be fully in the moment and then just enjoying people's company. And I think that is one of the most sad things about it. You can't just fully be in people's company and just relax and enjoy it. So social anxiety is so much more than just shyness and being quiet. But I do think it can often stem from that. So a lot of people who are quite quiet and shy as children, this can maybe lead into social anxiety. And I think there's a whole scale of how people suffer as well. I think there's probably people on one end of the scale who maybe just suffer quite mildly, and it maybe just affects them in certain social situations, whether it be eating in front of people or speaking in front of people. But then on the other end of the scale, you've got people like myself and Steve who have suffered quite extremely, and it's affected all aspects of our lives. And as I say, it affects every single interaction that you have with another person. So it can be really quite crippling and affect your life in so many ways, which is why I guess I am so passionate about it and just really, really want to help other people, because it's, something that's, it's made life quite difficult.
The fact that social anxiety is on such a scale is why I believe there is so many misconceptions about what social anxiety actually is. And the biggest misconception is that it only affects you when you're going into large crowded places, and you have on the run up to being there, you'll have knots in your stomach or whatever else as it approaches, but then that goes away when you get there. That's just kind of generalized anxiety. Social anxiety is so much deeper than that. It can affect you for days, weeks, and even months before a certain event. And it's also not just about large groups of people or gatherings or what people deem as social situations. It is every single interaction that you have with another human being. That is effectively what social anxiety is. And for me personally, it even affects me online, talking to people in comment sections and stuff like that. So it is literally every single interaction with another human being is affected by social anxiety.
I think as well, people might often think that people who suffer from social anxiety sort of hide away from the world and don't go out and don't socialize. And I think that's another misconception, because I think you can actually come across as quite an outgoing and confident person, but actually be suffering inside. And I know a lot of people who I've told on my journey over recent years that I've been suffering from social anxiety have actually been quite surprised, because I think in some ways I do come across as a sociable person. I do have a lot of friends. But I guess there's a case of underneath that, all of that is actually going on and people don't realize that. So you can be very good at covering it up. And I think there's probably a lot of people who are, as I say, really quite confident and seem very extroverted as well. And people might not realize that underneath they're actually suffering from this.
Well, which leads me on to what my belief of social anxiety is. It's more the social anxiety in itself is the fear of being seen, humiliated, embarrassed, whatever. Um, but people have different coping mechanisms. I know my coping mechanism for dealing with social anxiety was finding comfort and hiding away from the world. That was my comfort zone. And the more you sit in that comfort zone, the more social anxiety affects you, because you're in that comfort zone. It's even though there's times when I've been completely isolated from the world, I've locked myself away in my house. I've never wanted to be there. I want to be out and I want to socialize. I want to do all the things that normal people do, but it's almost been the comfort, the devil in the comfort sort of thing, where it's been more comfortable to be sad and to be lonely than it has been to force myself out of that comfort zone and live in that fear. So we are going to talk about some of the symptoms of social anxiety now, and some people watching this will think, well, that's just normal. I've felt like that and whatever. But what separates it and what differentiates it rather from normal thought process and behaviors and it being social anxiety is people who don't suffer from social anxiety will have these same thoughts and feelings, but they will quickly go when the rational part of your brain tells you that it's an irrational thought or feeling. The difference with social anxiety is the rational side of your brain can tell you them same things, but it has no effect at all on the feeling that you have inside, the anxious feel, the knots in your stomach, the feelings of anxiety and how they display themselves physically in your body.
So what are the symptoms of social anxiety and what does it actually feel like? Social anxiety is the fear of embarrassment, it's the fear of judgment, the fear of being criticized. It's a fear of having attention on you and standing out. You just want to kind of hide away and not be seen. It's avoidance and worry about social situations and social interactions with other people. It's consistent and persistent negative thoughts about yourself and how you come across to other people. It's comparing yourself negatively to other people, and how other people are in social situations compared to you. And it's also the fear of being watched. Yeah, I guess that relates to just attention being on you, so being seen and being watched. And because of that, you also then worry about the fact that other people can tell that you're socially anxious.
The double negative of the social anxiety is that, first of all, you're scared people are going to see you doing this, that, or the other. And then you're scared that people are going to know that you're scared of standing out, feeling embarrassed, and everything else you've just listed there, Lorna.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, that's one of the most crippling things about social anxiety is you feel like you can't talk about it and tell other people because that will highlight it even more. And if you're in a conversation with someone who knows that you suffer from social anxiety, they'll be thinking, oh, is she anxious? Is she having all these thoughts now? And you're almost drawing more attention to yourself. So it's kind of almost that you prefer people just didn't know, because then you can still sort of hide away and people might not realize that you're suffering, kind of thing.
So, which leads us on to the physical display of social anxiety and how it manifests physically. There's headaches, blushing, trembling, knots in your stomach, excessive sweating.
I think for me as well, like in conversation, as soon as attention's on me, it's like I almost feel, just a tightness and a anxious feeling around my throat and my chest. And then because of that, when I do start talking, it just doesn't feel like it comes out right, and maybe I'll be a bit jittery or stuttering over my words. And because I'm so in my head, what I'm wanting to say just doesn't come out clearly or articulate enough, or how I would like it to come out. And then because of those feelings, I'll often just cut short what I actually want to say and just, put attention onto somebody else rather than going on to what I actually wanted to say and how I wanted to explain it. It's like fear of not being good enough. So like one of my key ones is being not feeling intelligent enough or that I bring enough to a conversation. And also fear of people that I view as being a higher intelligence. So like one of the things I read online is you can be intimidated by people who are sort of more in power, or like people who are in management, that kind of thing, because you feel intimidated by that.
Another one for me is just like an overwhelming kind of heaviness, just a feeling of heaviness, which is,
oh yeah, I agree.
It's kind of undescribable. So it is just that, just like a weighted feeling.
I think it's a similar feeling to like depression, isn't it? It's just like a wave of something comes over you. And I guess it's just the overwhelm of what you're feeling. It can just make you feel, I think you've talked about it before as well, just how it can make you feel quite fatigued and tired. Yeah. Because it does take a lot of energy out of you, because you're constantly consumed by all of these thoughts. So when you're in situations, like your energy is just completely zapped. Yeah. And it can be really exhausting. It goes so much deeper than just social anxiety, because as I've talked about it to you before, it's a whole journey of self-growth and self-development and almost finding yourself, because it consumes you that much and you shy away from so many things that you don't actually necessarily know who you are as a person, or what you're really interested in, or what your hobbies are. Yeah. And embarking on this journey myself, it's been so much more than just tackling social anxiety. It's been building my self-confidence and esteem. It's been finding out what I'm actually passionate about, and just putting myself out into the world, and just facing fears and getting out of the comfort zone and starting to actually enjoy life and do things that I want to do, as opposed to just shying away from it all. We can laugh about it, but there is a seriousness to the issue as well. And there's pages that me and Steve follow on Instagram that post daft memes and things about social anxiety, and we often send them to each other and have a little giggle. And it's nice to have that humour and bring a bit of fun to it, but obviously we want to find a balance where we can address the seriousness of the situation, but have a bit of a laugh about it along the way as well, and poke a bit of fun at ourselves, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're also concerned about is because of the current climate we find ourselves in with everything that's going on, a lot of people are spending more time on their own, and it's allowing people who have potentially been suffering from social anxiety to retreat inwards even more, and people aren't exposing themselves to social situations and not able to push out of their comfort zones and try and face things head on. So this could potentially mean that people are going to feel like they're taking a bit of a backward step, or people may have been making some progress and this has kind of thrown a big spanner in the works. So we just feel like it's an even more important topic now more than ever. With the whole social distancing thing, the whole point about social anxiety is that you do shy away and you almost do social distance, which is quite ironic. So we want to be able to help empower people, so when they do come out the other side of this, they feel empowered to try and tackle this head on rather than just wanting to shy away even more.
Yeah, we aim to do these videos weekly, but life might get in the way, so we will try our best to keep it a weekly. In the meantime, please follow us on Instagram at the Social Anxiety Project. The link will be in the description. And get in touch if there's anything we can help with. So there it is, guys. That's the first one, and unfortunately it has had to be on Zoom because of the coronavirus isolation. We do promise in videos to come, when the isolation is lifted, we are going to be doing it in person, and we are also going to be doing some challenges that push us out of our comfort zone even further, which will hopefully inspire people to do the same.
So thanks everyone for joining us and for watching, and hopefully a few people made it to the end and didn't just get bored. But again, that's probably just the social anxiety kicking in, thinking I'm bored and nobody wants to listen. So if you did stick around, thank you very much, and we'll really look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. That's it, and it's a wrap.
Woo!